But my mum says, and I'm like, until your mum becomes a judge, then, her opinion doesn't matter.
Musclebox Radio, episode 21. So today I am joined by Paul Scarborough. Paul, thanks so much for coming on to the show today.
Thanks for asking.
No, it's an absolute pleasure to get you on. Obviously, a while ago, we had Tom Blackman on, your sort of partner in crime, so to speak, for the documentary prep.
Yeah, shorter. He's, shorter partner in crime.
And less gains, right?
Yeah, smaller, shorter, less hair, that sort of thing,
So, the podcast with Tom went down really, really well. We had some really great feedback on that. I'm not really sure why myself, but obviously everyone else loved him. And I'm sure we'll be listening back to this one anyway.
Yeah, I'm sure. But I think he paid a lot of people to send feedback in, but, he pays me to be his friend. So
yeah.
You can only bring that up,
Well, he pays me to go to the gym, so I think we're all, receiving handouts out of Tom in one way or another. But Paul, obviously, it'd be great for you to, just kind of, I want people to get to know you a little bit, get to know kind of your background in the sport, and kind of just to share your experience really. Obviously, as a bodybuilder, but also, the judging that you do, and as a prep coach, I think you've got a wealth of, experience and knowledge that, you can kind of bring to the table, and I'd love you to share some of that for the next sort of 45 minutes. So yeah, how did you get into the sport anyway in the beginning?
I got brought into the sport by a childhood friend, actually. I grew up in a little town called Holmfirth in West Yorkshire near Huddersfield, and that the Last of the Summer Wine was filmed at, and that's where it's most well known for. And I got into training with one of my mates from when I was younger. Took me to a gym in Huddersfield called Maloney's Gym, which at the time, it still exists actually, but at the time it was really a central hub for what you would call it, like a lot of big hardcore bodybuilders.
Yeah.
My friend actually shared a flat with a guy called Billy Payne. Now, Billy, he's not known so much now, unfortunately. He's back on the scene sort of thing. He's a nice enough guy. But back then, he was the guy. He was, the next big thing. So my first memory of, like, big muscular guys, so to speak, is I went round to his flat, my friend's flat, and I was chatting with my friend, and Billy was on the sofa in those sort of crazy baggy pants and rag top sort of clothes that used to be, a long time ago. And he was eating out of what I can only describe as like a cauldron, and it was like porridge oats, egg whites, raisins, bananas, all mixed in, and he was just spooning it into his mouth. And the first memory I have is him pointing to something across the room, and the just sheer size of his arms under his rag top, and that's literally how I got into it. That literally is how I start to want to be a bodybuilder. And I started training at Maloney, and sucked up all that atmosphere. And to be honest, I was quite skinny when I started training. I was probably about 8.5 stone. I wasn't big at all. And then over the years, I joined the Navy. So my bodybuilding as such took it sort of a back seat, really. I started to compete after about 3 or 4 years in the Navy. I did a show in Bournemouth, which was an open England sort of show, no federation. And I mistakenly put myself into the open class and came dead last. And I've shared a picture of my first show on Facebook. I've got a flat top with blonde highlights in, and
Strong.
Yeah. So that was my first and weirdly enough, I really liked it. And in contrast, my diet for that, if you want to call it a diet, is I would make up some oats and protein with water, put it into like a flat tin, and then slice it into like 5 or 6 slices, and have a slice for a meal. It was just, to what we know now and to what we do now, and achieve far better condition. It was just crazy, the stuff that I was doing back then, and a lot of other people were doing then as well. And then I just progressed. I unfortunately was paralysed from the waist down in 1996 when I was in the Navy, which obviously put a stop to training and everything like that for a few years. And I got back on stage in 1999 with a local show and played second.
Wow,
And
that's
then,
incredible.
yeah, it was a very scary time. And after then, I used to squat and front squat and do that quite heavy. But obviously, after then, I couldn't squat at all. So really, I haven't squatted since 1996 of any degree, sort of thing. And weirdly enough, my legs have always been my best body part on stage. So I don't go figure that. But and then my first jump into NABA, which is pretty much the only federation I've ever competed with, was 2003 when I did the West Britain.
Okay.
And I did that a couple of years.
What weight class were you in at that sort of stage then?
I did the novice class for I think 3 years. I did the novice class for 3 years, and didn't place. I didn't get a finals invite, so I was always a novice.
Okay, right, yeah.
I was placing like 4th, most of the time. And then in 2005, I came really bad in 2004, and I decided in 2005, right, I decided after being on stage at the West Britain in 2004 that I wasn't going to stop using steroids until I'd got to the British finals. My mindset then was all about that. That's the reason why I didn't make it, because I wasn't using enough. And so I went on for 18 months. And the end result of that was in June 2005, I stepped on stage at the British finals. I won my class at the West Britain. I stepped up to the Masters class 4, which is slightly challenged in height, my class. And I won that, and then stepped on stage at the British finals. And I went to the British finals. It was just me and a very good friend of mine. And we went up. We stayed in a really dodgy B&B somewhere in Southport. My whole goal for that show was not to come last. That was my goal. I was being coached at the time by Harold Marilia, who owns Forest Gym down in Crawley.
Okay.
Very underrated coach. He excellent guy, ex IFBB pro, and I got 6th place, so I made top 6, and it was as if I just won the whole show. It was just really surreal. It was just, I was just gobsmacked.
Yeah.
And then really just took it from there. Really, I won my first overall in 2006 and 2007, and then I remained unbeaten at the West Britain as class 4 until, unfortunately, last year when my best mate Tom Blackman beat me. But needless to say, Tom's younger and he's not as experienced in the sport, so I thought I'd let him win.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Boost his confidence.
Yeah.
He's a little flower, so I wanted to boost his confidence and whatever. But yeah, and since then placed in the Britain in the top 6. So my best year to date, competitive wise, would be 2012. I got 4th in the Britain. I got 6th at the Worlds, and then I got 9th at the Universe, all in 1 year. And loved every minute of it. And I love competing. And then obviously last year with Prep Series, competed with Tom,
Yeah.
and unfortunately then hung my trunks up, so to speak.
Yeah.
So
Well,
yeah,
that is literally incredible. Obviously, after hearing about you becoming paralysed at the waist, and then how many years was it after that? Did you then step on stage from that happening?
3 years. That happened
Wow.
in '96. I was over in America at the time with the Navy, and I then I think that was around about April, May time, 1996, and I stepped on stage September 1999, and weirdly enough, didn't train my legs up until 4 weeks out from the show, and I got second at that show. So
Nice. In
yeah,
what, if you don't mind, what kind of went through your head then when that happened? Did you obviously you were kind of already on this journey of bodybuilding, and that was kind of part of who you were, and we've obviously spoke on before the show about kind of identity. Did you have when that happened, did you have like a kind of a moment of crisis of thinking, well, I'm never going to be able to compete again? Obviously, that's a pretty serious injury, isn't it? So, yeah,
you
just
know what? You know what? Back then, no, because I wasn't the bodybuilder I am today, and I don't mean that in a physical sense. I mean that in a mental sense.
yeah,
My journey through bodybuilding for the last 25 years, 26 years, has developed me both physically and mentally. And back then, I was a guy that just trained. We spoke earlier. I was a bro guy. If there's any bro science out there, I did it and thought that that was it. And that was my mentality then. It was the way I dieted, the way I trained was very gung ho and very what in air quotes hardcore.
yeah,
But I didn't. It wasn't. It wasn't who I was. If that makes sense.
yeah,
When it first happened, weirdly enough, it was just I was scared, but it was sort of because I was out on the ship out by America, and I got flown to Guantanamo Bay, then put on a Learjet to Miami, and I was in Miami-Dade Hospital for like 8 weeks, and then flew home and stuff like this. It was. I know this sounds really stupid, but it was more of an adventure. You know, I was 26 and I couldn't move from the waist down, and you don't even want to get into the way that they actually could tell that you were paralyzed, and it, it involved a digit and hiding that digit. So but it was sort of, oh right, okay, this is happening,
yeah.
but it'll be better.
Mm-hmm.
The problem was I came back to the UK, and then in error they sent me back out to the ship a couple of months later, and it happened again. And I was told at the hospital in the UK, if it happens again, that's it. You're not going to recover from it. And it happened again. Then I really was scared. Then I really was frightened.
Yeah.
And obviously, essentially, I came back, I recovered, and then I was disabled out the Navy. But if that was to happen now or in the last 10 years, my mindset of it would be totally different, because it would be, I'm a bodybuilder. That's what I do. It's
Yeah.
who I am.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't train. So I think mentally I would have handled it a lot worse,
Yeah.
because it would have, I was in a different place.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
So, if you don't mind me asking, how old are you now, Paul?
I'm 46.
46. And when was your kind of, when you said you kind of reached, was it 6th in the universe?
9th in the universe.
What year was that, and how old were you then?
2012, I was 42. That year I competed for 47. I prepped for 47 weeks.
Wow.
I made a decision that year to do not only the Britain but then the universe, and they're at either ends of the year.
Okay.
So I started prep at the beginning of the year for my qualifier, which is the West Britain, which I won. And then I think it was about 4 weeks after was the Britain, and I placed fourth. And then 2 weeks later, I got asked by NABA to go to the Worlds, which was in Dublin. I'd not competed internationally before, so I went to the Worlds. Unfortunately, I made a little bit of a screw up with my last 24 hours, and I wasn't as dry as could be. I got sixth, which I was really fortunate with. But in hindsight, and I know everybody who competes says this, but in hindsight, if I'd have done something slightly different, I probably would have got maybe a higher place in.
Yeah.
But to go to the Worlds and get top six was a major thing for me.
I can imagine it. Sorry, Paul, just to butt in there. I can imagine at that level that actually a subtle change of doing something different is going to make an impact. It's not like it's a in a first, if someone's competing for the first time, you've got people there who are very muscular, maybe in the class, but with not much condition, and you might have someone who is probably more like myself, who's less muscular, but normally comes in condition. And normally the feedback from those people is be a little bit leaner, get a little bit bigger, pose a little bit better. But I can imagine the guys competing at the Worlds with yourself, they're in condition, they've got the size, they pose well, it's all there. So actually a small thing can make a big difference.
And it was, and literally all it was I didn't realise the hotel we were staying at was on the airport. So there was no place for me to go out and get like the foods I would normally eat.
Yeah.
Because I carb up late,
normally
the night before, you see, and I couldn't eat those foods. So I had to eat foods that I'd not eaten.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, they didn't digest. They caused an issue. It's not an excuse. It's just
this the fact of the yeah.
That's what I presented on stage, and I got beat justifiably by very good bodybuilders. But to place top six with that happening, I was really pleased. And then I took it round to the universe, where I looked the best I'd looked all year. It's just the class was unbelievable. And my goal for the universe was top 10.
Yeah.
If there's one thing I've kept throughout my whole bodybuilding career is a realistic view of what I can achieve. I'm not aesthetically the most gifted person for bodybuilding. I've got wide hips. I'm big, but I've got wide hips, and when you're on stage with that level of people, that maybe are not as big as you, but have like hips like 12-year-old girls sort of thing, and shoulders, that are huge. It then it all comes home to you that how much you actually achieved. And I've never been one to go, oh crap, that I should have placed higher and whatever. Yeah, I think I got the placings that
you deserved.
Yeah.
Nice.
And that includes last year when I did prep and made a big thing in the 6th episode about placing top 6 of the Britain and then coming 7th. It was an emotional time for me, but at no point did I then do the whole social media thing going, I was robbed and this and that and whatever, because when you do that, you just look a dick.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. You've chosen to compete fully aware that you're going to be judged.
Yeah.
So you've got to accept the judge's decision. There's all this thing now about corruption and this judge and whatever. That's normally said by people who didn't live up to what they expected.
Yeah.
Because their mum or their sister
or their coach,
their dad or whatever has gone, oh, you should beat him that. You should beat him. Suck it up. Next time you're on stage, don't let the judges make a decision. Make it for them. Yeah. When you walk out, then have them go, right, who's second? And I think social media is a little bit of a two-edged sword. coming from where I've come from in the olden days, I say with my really old flat cap on, where there was no information, and really getting any information about anything, be it nutrition, be it training, be it gear, anything, was really like kept secret.
Yeah.
Well, it is now, where literally every man and his dog's got an opinion, and there's so much information out there that it sort of can really confuse you. With the state of like the internet and social media and stuff, it's a place to actually acknowledge what you've done rather than gripe about, just this last week, people have, but my mum says, and I'm like, until your mum becomes a judge, then, her opinion doesn't matter. It's just a state of things now, but...
We lost you there, Paul, just for a bit. What did you just say before your mum said?
Okay, it was just basically saying that, your friends and your family and stuff may think that you came first.
Yeah.
But essentially, you didn't. You have it on Facebook all the time. I didn't win, but I won. I was the most aesthetically pleasing person there. I was the most conditioned. But you weren't. Because if you were, you would have a first place trophy.
Yeah.
And I don't think a lot of people that shout corruption and dodgy judges and stuff, year on year are the same people. And year on year, they don't put themselves forward to be judges, to change it.
Yeah.
And what they don't understand is that the highest mark and the lowest mark is always struck off.
Yeah.
So...
if there is a bias, then that's taken away. Yeah,
and it's very hard for one judge to influence a whole show. And they can do it by, say, if their guy, everybody else plays them fifth, and they place them first. Or if their guy, everybody plays them second, and they place the person who everybody plays first last. Do you see what I mean? You can, you can sort of look at that because it's all added points. But that would, if it's not struck off by the highest and the lowest, the adjudicator would see that, and the judge's sheet would get challenged.
Yeah.
Everybody else has had this guy first, and you've gotten sixth.
Why?
Why is that?
Yeah.
So it's not as easy as a lot of people think.
And I can imagine, people want to get into the sport from a judge's perspective because they want to give back. Maybe they want to see change and they want to support the community that they've been obviously so passionate about. So it's in their interest to reward fairly because it's why they got into judging, right? Otherwise, what's the point?
I can't speak for every judge that's ever judged, and I'll be honest with you, I know some crap judges, and that's a genuine thing. I don't believe that I'm the best judge. I think I'm a fair judge.
Yeah.
And I will always stand by where I place someone and always tell them.
Yeah.
They may not agree with me, but I'll always stand by where I place that person. And I do welcome the new thing that's come in with NABA. Eddie Elwood, the vice president, has brought in basically an adjudication of the judging. So the current system is basically you've got no judging of the judging in area shows, and the judges at the Britain are judged to see who's best, and they go to the universe. But that's not publicised. That's not shown. That's one person's opinion. And where I think from the beginning of next year, Eddie Elwood's going to bring in an adjudication of it. So if a judge consistently judges badly, he'll be either asked to reset his training, his supernumerary tests, and his sheets will get pulled.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good thing.
Yeah.
I know NABA judges that have said to me, I don't understand the female classes. And I'm like, right, tell the chairman, tell the person who runs the judges, and they have done, But 99%, I can't say 100%, but 99% of the judges that I know are good judges.
Yeah.
And essentially, the majority of people that cry wolf are the people that just didn't live up to what they thought they should have done that year.
You know, I to give you an example, actually, and I'm sure she won't mind me saying this. So I had a competitor compete at the British Finals. She won a qualifier, looked fantastic, and she got invited to do the British Finals. And just a simple thing that she didn't do was show her badge off. Like, I was sat in the audience, and just the way her hip was turned at the sideline, so therefore she didn't get the call out that, you know, she might have wanted. So it's not even a case of just, are you actually bringing the best like condition, in the most muscle, in the most aesthetics? You know, as we spoke about offline, it's like, have you practiced your posing? When you're called to do a front pose, are you doing a front pose? Do you turn the right way? Because, you know, as you said, you want to draw attention to you for the right reasons. So get your tan done properly, do your skin prep.
The thing that people seem to just miss is you're on stage to be judged.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, I have a few things that like really bite me. One is a lot of male competitors, they'll not hook their trunks up, like put them on the hip lines. They'll have them across their hips, like flat.
Yeah.
And that makes them like just wider in the hips, just not as V-shaped or whatever. And for some people, for me, for example, if I did that, that would just destroy me because I've got a wide waist.
Yeah.
You know, so that would just totally just knock out any advantage I've got in my shoulders. You know, so that's one of my biggest things because it's such a simple thing to fix. Pull your fucking trunks up. You know, get your tan sorted. You know, you can tell if you've got. I recently judged at the PCA show in Midlands, and there was a guy putting his tan on in the toilet. He came out on stage, and one of the judges were like, "I can't believe he hasn't even tanned." I was like, "The thing is, he has, but he's done it last minute."
Yeah.
He's like, literally, his mate was doing it in the toilet. Like,
20 minutes before.
There's no preparation in it.
Yeah.
You know, skin prep. Does this tan make me dark? Does this tan wash me out? You know, and music's another thing that it's like people will get their music, and every federation states on their website how long their posing routines are going to be, and a lot of people will cut it for longer than that, and then get pissy when it gets chopped, or they'll cut it onto a CD really fast, so the fastest their application can do it times 20 or whatever,
right?
And then they'll not check it to see if it'll work on anything else but their system. And the easiest way to check it is to put it in your car.
Yeah.
So take your CD, put it in your car. If it plays, it will play anywhere.
Yeah.
They don't do that, and then when they get on stage, the music they come on, they stomp around, the facial expressions to the hill, effing and jeffing, and then when some music comes on that they've not, they're like, "Oh, for God's sake!" And what they don't realise is it's their fault.
Yeah.
It's not the establishments, it's not the judges, it's not the federations. It's their fault, and all this stomping around and stuff just makes them look like an idiot. And you're on stage to be noticed in a positive way to judges.
Yeah.
Judges notice everything.
So here's a question for you then, Paul. If you know, I've probably spoken, you know, there could be people listening who are maybe thinking about doing a competition next year. They might be you know, planning on that's something that they want to do, or maybe they've done a show but they want a little bit more kind of, maybe they didn't get feedback or something. So my question to you, Paul, is what are you looking for as a judge? You're sat there, you're in your, you know, you're at the table with all the other judges, and obviously at the sideline, you might, whether they get called out individually or one by one or in a big line, what are you looking for right from the start to, you know, through the routine? What sort of things can people take home away from this and go, okay, I need to make sure I'm doing that?
Well, obviously, for male classes, you're judged, no matter what anybody says, you're judged on 3 aspects. That's condition, muscle mass, and aesthetics. Yeah. People sometimes think that the most ripped person, you know, gets the call or whatever, but essentially that's not the case.
Yeah.
But you've got to assume that everybody has that. That may not be the case, but you've got to assume that. So a judge is looking for someone who stands out. If you come on stage with your shoulders hung over and, just essentially throw your arms up, front double bicep, oh, yeah, here you go, there we go, a judge will go, oh, right, okay, because the whole purpose of prejudging is to present yourself in the best possible way. So, front double bicep, right, set yourself up, calves, quads, abs, chest up, arms up, 10. Not 10 for 5 seconds, then bring it down and then move it. And, you've got to be compared.
Yeah.
So practice your posing. You've got to practice. Not everybody can do fancy posing and whatever. But if you practice, there's plenty of resources out there on YouTube and stuff like that to show you what a front double bicep is, to show you what a side chest is.
A lat spread, yeah.
Yeah. You should be practicing that from the moment you start your prep, in the mirror. And then as you move through your prep, get rid of the mirror. Do it in front of a friend. Do it in front of a video camera. Because if you do it in front of a mirror all the time, you'll adjust it from what you see.
Yep.
On stage, you haven't got a mirror. So on stage, you've got to be confident that you're doing everything that needs to be done without seeing it, So you should progress the video in it and then run it through and go, right, okay. Like front double bicep. When a man does a front double bicep, they should mentally have a vision of sucking air through their belly button into their chest as they bring their arms up. That gives the illusion of a smaller waist, wider quads, bigger back, bigger shoulders. If you just put your arms up, that illusion is lost. You may have that, but you're not presenting your body in the best way, and that's what a judge looks for. He looks for someone who's giving it their all, looking like they're doing everything they need to do. Don't walk on stage with the shoulders slumped. Walk on stage with confidence.
Yep.
If you're not confident enough to walk on stage thinking you're going to win, be it if you're going to win or not, then, a judge will we just won't look at you.
Yeah.
And get your tan right, like we said. Get your posing right, get your quarter turns right. The amount of people that can't do a quarter turn is unbelievable.
Yep.
The amount of people that don't know how to turn to the left is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
And then when you're on stage, and you're posing for the judges, pose for the judges. Don't pose for your Auntie Margaret that's in the third row to the left. Pose for the judges. Your routine, in most federations, the routine isn't marked, but that doesn't mean the judges don't watch it.
Yeah.
Because, for instance, NABA, the guys come out, they do the quarter turns, then they go off and do the routines before the comparisons.
Okay, yep.
What do you think the comparisons are based on the judges going, I noticed him.
I want to see him again.
Yeah. So when you do your routine, you wouldn't do a load of shots from the back if you've got a weak back and shit hamstrings.
Yeah.
You stay for the front or the side. So don't think you've got to do every pose. Just pose your best features.
Yeah.
But then saying that, I've seen people do poses of just doing front double biceps and trap overs. And you're like, right, okay.
Where's the rest of you?
Yeah. So you've got to pose yourself off to the best. So a judge goes, oh, wow, yeah, no, I want, right, what's his number? And they'll write it down.
Yeah.
And then when you come on and do your comparisons, they will put in a check going, I want to see 22 with 56 with so-and-so and so-and-so.
Hmm.
And that's how you get the call-outs. One thing about call-outs that seems to be this myth is that the first call-out or the last call-out is top 5. That's not what happens.
Yeah.
As a judge, we don't get told if they're in the last call-out or in the first call-out, they're your top 5.
Right, okay.
Yeah. In 2012 at the Universe, I didn't get the first 4 call-outs. So that to me is like, right, I'm vying for last place. and
Yeah.
there were 16 guys on stage that day. But I got the fourth call out. I got the fifth call out, the sixth call out, the seventh call out, and the eighth call out, because I didn't make myself noticeable enough. Then once I started posing, they were like, "Oh, right, want to see him with those guys now."
Okay,
right,
yeah.
with
And
those
you sort
guys.
of worked up your rank, so to speak.
Yeah.
Nice.
So you've got to make sure that you're at your best. Make sure your pump up is good. The amount of people I see come on stage looking, going, "Oh, it looks a bit flat. I expected more." And then they'll do a set of comparisons, and then they'll go, "Wow, God, he looks amazing," because they didn't pump up backstage, or they didn't pump up enough.
Yeah.
So, but essentially, the take-home message is just be noticeable. Don't be a prick. Don't start pushing your hands up and down your hamstrings when you pose them. As we discussed before, you're not Flex Lewis. Unless your hamstrings are hitting the floor when you pose them, the judges can see them.
Yeah.
If you think that you've got to point to them so that judges can see them, they're not developed enough. So stop fucking pointing at your body parts. All right? We can see you. Running your hands up the back of your hamstrings onto your glutes, and then nothing happens. Turns a judge away. I tell you now. Oh right. Oh right. Okay, he's got no glutes. So stop with that. Stop with stomping all over the stage. Be noticeable in a way that is deemed professional.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you've dieted for 12 weeks, 16 weeks, 20 weeks, 6 months, whatever. It's all for those few minutes on stage. And if you're going to get on stage and be a cock, you've wasted all that time.
Yeah.
So I don't think many people prepare for the stage, as in for what they're doing on the stage, as they should.
Yeah.
I think everybody preps for looking their best, but then has no inkling of what they're going to do on stage.
Like the tactics element of it.
Yeah, and I think more people should. They should practice their posing. They should make sure that their skin prep is good.
Yeah.
If they've got hair and they're not one of the million bald bodybuilders out there, they should, do their hair. Just it makes no difference to how muscular you are and stuff like that. It's just the effort you put in.
Yeah.
And if the effort you put in is a slightly, you could be tied with another guy, but you look more polished.
Yeah.
Your presentation's more polished.
Yeah.
Your quarter turns are just slightly snappier. That's going to get the judges looking at you more than the other guy who matches you on muscle mass and condition and aesthetics.
Yeah.
When you get that, and you do get it, the judges then look for who's the polished, who's the one that wants it more, So.
And then I can imagine as well with the in between the poses. So when you've hit your front pose, if you're doing men's physique and you go into your side pose, it's also about what you're doing in between, because the judges are still watching you, so you can't just let it all hang out round your shoulders, let your belly out. You've got to keep things tight, and move gracefully, and that's why it's called stage presence, isn't it? It's not just poses. It's
and normal bodybuilding classes, be it height classes or weight, you're all stood at the back as well.
Yeah.
And I noticed this at the UK BFF finals, because that's the last one I watched.
So back from the break, we just lost Paul there. The connection just died. So Paul, the last bit we heard was you said the last show you'd watched was the UK BFF finals. And
it was. It's got nothing to do with the federation or whatever, but it was just one thing I noticed on that was that the guys stood at the back of the stage were just chatting amongst themselves.
Yeah.
It was sort of like, "Oh, how you doing? I had rice cakes today," and it was just general chit chat. And I'm like, you do know that the judges determine the call outs on what they see, So I'm not saying everybody has to be rigid and put out the lats and carry carpets all the time. I got once taught by a NABBA judge called Mike Sullivan, who's a good friend of mine. He came to see me at my qualifier in 2008 in the West Britain, and I walked on stage not very confident, and he pulled me after I won, but he pulled me afterwards. He was like, "You look like you'd been beaten before you'd actually stepped on stage."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, I don't know, And he had me come up to Southport a day earlier to practice posing, and he taught me a lot about stage presence. And since then, I've not only taught that to my clients, but done it myself. And when you're at the back of the stage, you don't untense, you just move slightly. So instead of being like straight fronted on, arms out, you move a little bit to the side, just very slightly movement, so you're not cramping up or anything like that.
Yeah.
And that keeps the judge's eye on you without distracting the judges, because as a judge, you see people at the back posing, you're like, right, stop posing, you're not, not supposed to be posing. But
that's an interesting one, actually, Paul, because I've always, and I'm obviously still very new to the sport of bodybuilding. This was my first season competing in classic bodybuilding. Before that, I've done fitness model categories, in different federations. But yeah, it was one thing that I did was I was like, I'm here to, I'm stood at the back and I'm going to hold a front relaxed pose. But then obviously after a while, I was like, okay, I'll just move the hand to the hip or just relax this ever so slightly. And yet that was maybe something that, you don't get told about. You don't get told about what you should be doing when you stood at the back there. What poses do they want to see or not? And it's great for someone like yourself just to sort of clarify that so people know, what they should be doing and what they can expect.
And I think that, Stephen, comes on to the discussion we had earlier about the new coaches that are in the sport now.
Yeah.
That sort of thing, that sort of discussion comes from, in my opinion, not experienced competitors, but experienced coaches.
Yeah.
That comes up under the header of nailing your shit.
Yeah.
So, it's not just about, here's the diet, here's the training, get on with it. It comes under the header of, right, okay, in air quotes, peak week, and everything involved in there, it's stage presence, it's posing, it's this, it's, and I think more and more these days, it's like we discussed off air, you're getting more and more first-time competitors, male and female, who are in decent shape. They might not place, but they're in decent shape. They're in better shape than the general pop.
Yeah.
So what's happening is their friends are coming up to them afterwards going, "Oh, you look brilliant. You're going, you got in really good shape. You had abs and stuff like that. Can you do me a diet?" "Yeah, all right." "Oh, how much do you charge for it?" "Oh, okay. 20 quid. "Oh, yeah, no problem." "Wow, okay." And then they suddenly think, "Oh, this is easy. I just gave him my diet, and he's lost a bit of weight and whatever." Oh, and then all of a sudden, you've got a Facebook fan page, you're a coach, and, and then your clients are missing out on things like that.
Yeah.
Things that, because they don't know it, so you can't pass on knowledge that you invariably don't know.
Yeah. And as we said earlier, you kind of see two sides of the spectrum, don't you? I see a lot of evidence-based coaches who have never competed before. They've never really been in condition, yet they're prepping athletes to the point. And I'm thinking, where do you show that level of experience to know, about empathy? Because a book won't tell you how you feel post-show. Only going through that, do you kind of understand that? And you might, I think sometimes they can look for, okay, well, you should be regaining weight at this certain amount in no more, otherwise you're, or we're going too aggressive or whatever it might be. But actually it's about knowing the individual, applying the experience, understanding kind of how they're adapting, but also knowing in what place they're at psychologically with where they want to go with things. And I just think you have to have both sides of the spectrum to a degree, that you got to have some experience, but also the understanding and the evidence in this.
You do. And I generally, I've been competing for over 25 years. And as we mentioned before, I've got no qualifications. I've got 25 years of experience,
Yeah.
And I've got 25 years of getting this fat body into condition on stage. And I've taken criticism in the past from people going, hold on, how can you prep people if you have someone prepping you? And that's normally said by, what's the word I'm looking for? Idiots. Yeah. Because what they're saying is, well, you can't get, how can you get someone else in condition if you're not confident in getting yourself into condition? Well, either you're genetically gifted that you walk around at low digit body fat all the time, and there are people that do that, or you've got no fucking clue in what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Because it's not the physical that's hard with dieting. Anybody can lose weight and look better. Anybody. I don't care. All these people go, I've done every diet and none work. That's total and utter bollocks.
Yeah.
Diets work. As you know, you reduce calories or increase your expenditure, you're going to lose weight.
Yeah.
So dieting for a show is not hard. Yeah. You just have to do things on a consistent basis
for a long time
every day, and people don't like doing that. It's oh, I've got to do this for 20 weeks. Oh, fuck that,
Or,
and they'd fail.
45 weeks. Was it or 49 weeks? Was it in your case?
47 weeks.
Yeah, 47.
But they fail because they feel they can't do it. It's not because it's only hard because it's not what they're used to.
Yeah.
But the thing that really stops people is the mental side of it. I'm the worst of anybody I know when I prep, confidence-wise. I'm brilliant as a coach, and I can say that because I've had that feedback at getting my clients out of that mindset, of making them look at it from a different angle where they're going, oh, right, okay, yeah.
I've seen progress, or yeah.
Yeah. You've got, with female clients, all right, I've lost no weight. In fact, I put on weight. Right, okay. You are aware it's the time of the month.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Oh, yeah, but I didn't think that. Well, yeah.
Or we've just gone through a high training bout and you're just holding a little bit more water or whatever it might be, yeah.
Exactly. And you, as a coach, one of your jobs is to think out the box, is to come in from outside that little bubble and give a better perspective.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the things that these new coaches, these Instagram coaches or whatever, don't bring. I've heard some horror stories.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, right, okay, so you weren't losing weight, but how were you looking? Oh, I was getting leaner, but I wasn't losing weight, so we cut the calories. Right, okay, but it's a visual sport.
Yeah.
So there's lots to compete in. It's not dieting for a show is relatively easy.
Yeah.
Just have to do things consistently, monotonously, day after day.
Yeah, and what gets me, and I've spoke about this before on the podcast, is I see a lot of people who complain about prep. They complain about how hard it is, and I just think you're doing this for yourself. No one's forcing you to do this. It's not a job that, it's not something that provides, for example, like we said, Phil Heath, his whole career and him actually dieting is part of his job. That puts money on his table. Food on the table. I did that again, didn't I?
Yeah.
Reconfirmed about it. Yeah. But yeah, and I just think, what is the point in going through it if you're not enjoying it? Because you're clearly then doing it for maybe the wrong reasons.
Well, the thing is, me and Tom mentioned this on prep actually, and I think one of the reasons why prep was so popular, and it truly wasn't our intention. It wasn't our intention to make something that loads of people would watch. It was an idea that Tom came up with. He got together with James, and all three of us got together, and it was something we thought that our friends might watch or family.
the fact that it was watched in numerous countries around the world, and we had like over 5,000 downloads, and we sold DVDs and stuff like that, was genuinely a huge shock.
Yeah.
Because we genuinely didn't think anybody would be interested in two midgets complaining about stuff and running into a show. I said this on prep that, prepping is hard when you look at it as an entirety.
Yeah.
Yeah. Getting lean is easy. You just have to do something day in, day out.
Yeah.
Yeah. But when you look at prep, when you're tired, if you've got a family, if you've got a work that's, it's hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I agree with you to an extent, as in people who constantly moan about it are like, right, okay, you've done this for 20 years. Why did you suddenly think this one was going to be easier or whatever? But then I raised it in one of our cardio rants that we could actually put on the series, because there was a lot where we couldn't. And unfortunately, they were fueled by people's comments on Facebook.
Yeah.
And we didn't think about it before, but we'd then name them and go, so-and-so is fucking prick. What was he doing today and stuff? So we couldn't put them all in there, unfortunately. But one of the ones is I put something up about I was knackered. I'd driven for like 6 hours that day. Yeah. I had to train and whatever. And someone's like, oh, God, no one's making you do it. And I'm like, hold on. You constantly tell everybody about every single little thing you're doing in your day on Facebook. And I'm not complaining that I'm prepping. I'm not like, I'm just going, do you know what? Today, I'm fucking knackered.
Yeah.
And I've got to do cardio. And, I've had a hard day and whatever. That's all I'm doing.
Yeah, do you know what? I did a video series, obviously nothing like prep, but I just made a weekly episode basically. And I just included in that little bits of training, little bits of my day-to-day life. And my girlfriend just took a video of me walking when I was, 3 weeks out. We used to walk to the pub. I used to get to the pub, have a Diet Coke, then walk back. It was an hour and a half round trip of just walking, right? So I did, because I'm not really one for the treadmill or whatever, so I just like to get out on the road. I was walking so slowly, and when she then started to interview me, I was slurring, and I was, and I was like, I am absolutely exhausted. But it's not a point where you can, and like you said, you weren't moaning about it, you just are just stating the obvious. Yeah. Like you're just there going, this is how it is. And I think people need to actually understand that. And a lot of the feedback I got on my YouTube, I haven't had thousands of watches or anything, only a few hundred, but people said that, wow, Steve, what you went through was and you make it look quite easy. That's the feedback I get generally, is that I make prep look easy. But it's good for them to see. So then, if you are, thinking about prepping next year, then, you could just kind of understand by watching series like Prep, by listening to these sorts of podcasts, by watching, my YouTube channel, you can see what it takes to actually go to those levels that you are in. You can't be then misled by your coach just saying, grind harder or so it's about having that appreciation, isn't it, for the sport?
The biggest feedback we got was from people saying how, wow, okay, we didn't realize it was like that, and the training, we obviously tried to train with different people like Phil and Luke and whatever, and that was really good.
So that's Phil Lerney and Luke Sandow?
Phil Lerney and Luke Sandow and James Llewellyn and Lindsay Bruce. We tried to mix it up and stuff and make that more entertaining. But and whereas people enjoyed that, they enjoyed more Tom's part of running a gym, a big gym like that, and prepping, and my part of my family. Yeah. At the time it was a family of 3.
Yeah.
Obviously I've got 4 kids now, and that balance, and me working away and living out of hotels, and that's what got people. And one of the biggest drivers was my wife Jennifer got a lot of messages and congratulations and stuff like that
for putting up with you.
Yeah, and it was like, do you know what? That's how I feel when my husband or partner competes. I'm emotional, and stuff like that. And Jen and Nick to a degree as well, but we did more stuff with Jen. It's just how it worked out. But Jen was very honest with it. I think on one of the episodes, I actually said to her, "All right, calm down, because people are actually going to think that I'm just a bad person." But I was at Body Power this year with Samson, and we had a queue for the goodie bags, as you do. And a few people were actually queuing up to say hello to me and to thank me for prep, because that had really helped them in their prep.
Yeah.
And that's such a humbling thing. It's just...
Put it this way, so we've got a Team Box private community group for all of our clients. And someone in there the other day posted, "Is there any good bodybuilding documentaries?" And straight away, Daniel Meek, who's one of the coaches, was like, "Right, you've got to watch Prep." I know that, 3 of the coaches watched Prep this year, because we all did the same show on the same day. We all did the Welsh. So as a team of coaches, we had Dan, Chris and Michael did the men's physique classes. They all happened to be in different height classes. Laura did bikini and I did classic bodybuilding. So we all did it on the same day, which is a pretty amazing experience actually to share that together. And so we're all, those guys had prep on doing their cardio, and they found it just so motivating because they could relate to what you were going through, because it was real. And I think that was we'll have to share the links at the end of this show so people can go, if they are listening, to watch it.
It was... I had one goal for it, and that was not to make it about steroids.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the misconception about bodybuilding is it's about drugs, and it's really not.
Yeah.
They're involved with a certain area of bodybuilding. Obviously, you've got natural people as well, but and vegans, but we don't really, But it's a part of bodybuilding. It's not bodybuilding.
Yeah.
Drugs are a tool that you use, just like food is, just like training is, whatever. And what I wanted to get from prep, which I think we succeeded in doing, was to show that, yes, it's a part of it, but it's not the bread and butter of it.
Yeah.
And we got a lot of feedback on that, because when we first started promoting it on the forums and stuff, people were like, you're gonna be honest in what you use, all the secrets and stuff like that. And I was like, well, yeah, but there are no secrets.
As in, they were trying to use it as kind of like a free stack that they should be taking or something.
Yeah, and I was like, well, there's no real secrets, and I don't have a Harry Potter wand and stuff, and
Yeah.
And he's like, well, I probably won't watch it then if I was like, there's no revolutionary, there's no new things to do.
Yeah.
And that applies to a lot of things.
Yeah.
Training, nutrition, steroids, anything. It's all been done. Anything that comes out is a mixture or a change of what's already been done. So we were, at first, from that feedback, we were a little bit like, oh, right, okay. Essentially, we're not laying it all out on the desktop going, right, I'm taking this a day, this a week, this. And we thought, it's not going to float this. But after the first couple of episodes, and we got good feedback, my wife told me that I should stop swearing as much as I did. So I got told off of that. But overall, it's in my current place where I am now, which is a place that it sees me never competing again. And with the documented health issues I've had, and I mentioned on prep with my kidneys, it makes me very happy that if I don't achieve anything else, we did that. Does that, because I think that in a very small way has contributed to the sport.
Yeah.
some people will watch it and go, that's crap. Some people, not say that. We've never had any negative feedback from it, which is, we really thought we would have, yeah.
No, it's incredible.
It was a really good thing we did, I must admit.
Although you said that, you won't be competing again, but you're still going to be contributing to the sport, to people that want to get into, becoming a bodybuilder, or on a competitive stage. Even listening to you, today you've inspired me, and you're going to be inspiring people listening to this show, and in just the way that you look at things. Obviously on Facebook, you aren't afraid to share your view and your experience, and that's really great, because it keeps people grounded and humble, but also this appreciation to learn more and educate and just want to improve and be better. And that is, for me, what the sport's all about, is trying to improve.
And that's great for me to hear, Stephen. It truly is. I'm not just saying. I think people know me by now. I don't just say things for the sake of saying it. We spoke off air about an identity thing with bodybuilding. And recently, I've struggled quite badly with it, to the point of depression. To be fair, to some degree, that I was very open on prep about the fact that I have kidney disease, and although I won't go too much into it, I recently had a bit of a drop in that, and that in itself, which I mentioned on Facebook and stuff, and I got the amount of support I got, and I don't do things for sympathy. I think people who do that are just vile people. But the amount of support, not only did I get on stuff that I put on Facebook, but private messages and things was really, really nice. And because I started to question who I was in the industry, because I felt I was always P-Scar, the bodybuilder, because I'd always competed, and even in the off season, it was off season to compete and things like that. And I don't think I'd really, and a very good friend of mine took the time out to speak to me and make me realize that you don't really see how far you've come until you stop and look back, and to what I know now, be it via training, via coaching sort of thing, and and the fact that people actually see me as a coach, has helped me over the last couple of months come out of that dip of I'm never going to compete again. So what am I in the sport? Yeah, I'm a judge and whatever, but let's face it, everybody hates judges at the moment. So and it was this person and these people that helped me realize that the contribution I make now and going forward is more of the mentoring, more of the inspiration type contribution, which is what I want to do. I want to be able to, if someone asks me a question, I want to be able to not, we've spoken about this study says, if you stand on your head and hold an egg, then muscle protein synthesis will have, they don't want to know that. They want to know what's the best way they can make things optimal for them,
Yeah.
And I think one of the knacks I have is being able to look at the science, look at the stuff that both me and you and people like Tom and Emil and stuff like that all look at for increasing our knowledge, and then apply that to the real world, because I think practical application of science is one of the hardest things to do. There are a few leaders in that, like Brad Schoenfield and a few others that, do when they get a study, when they get a paper, they do apply it in such a way where they're like, right, okay, it says this, but
this is this is how it if it's okay, so we looked at training frequency as to how many sets you should do per muscle group per week for the optimal amount of gains. Okay, actually there could be a mix of factors in context, in depending on who you are, training age, and and that's the thing that I'm very open about this, that an evidence-based approach isn't just about knowing the science. Yeah, that's great, and that should underpin as a do no harm approach and find easy methods to get the same result, for sure, but also not to be afraid to use your experience and actually get your clients to and it's something that I'm as I said before, really passionate about, is I get my clients to look objectively at their own results. So the measures that we take are calorie balance, simple things like a Fitbit, how many steps that they're doing. Yes, they're not the most accurate, and they're not, for example, a gold standard of a DEXA scan, but simple body measurements in weekly pictures can show us enough to see improvements, and that's the most important thing, that they can look objectively week by week or bi-weekly, can make adjustments to see progress towards their goal, and they're being an evidence-based practitioner or an athlete because they're using the data that they've got in front of them. I just want to say, Paul, thank you so much for sharing all that, really. And it is, my battery's about to die now, but literally it's about to go any second. And I'd love for you to come back on the show another time, Paul, at some point. And we've got plenty more to talk about, I think, if you'd be happy to come back on. Yeah,
of course. Yeah, I've enjoyed it immensely. Hopefully people get some stuff from it, apart from the ramblings of an oldish man. Thank you for having me. I've really enjoyed it.
No, mate, thank you. And what I'll do is I'll put out all the links to, prep, and, if people, can follow you on Facebook and, hear your rants and ramblings, and, and you really do contribute to the sport. And, you've always been someone that I wanted to get on the show. And thank you so much for doing that. And I'll probably have to come and get a posing session with you at some point.
Yeah, that's not a problem, mate. More than happy to. And thanks again, Stephen, for having me on.
Mate, no worries. Anyway, and I'll speak to you guys on the show next week.